Hello, guys. Welcome back. I know it's been a little while. We had to take a small break. Just a 1 week one because my dad and Marissa were out, or not out, but they were feeling under the weather, and we just wanted to take precaution and just hold things off for a little bit. Apologies for that, but we're all feeling good now.
I'm not that sorry.
Marissa, how are you feeling?
I feel good.
Not sorry?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
But anyways, glad to be back here. Of course, I am your main host, Steven Avalos, alongside my dad.
Hello.
And my good friend Marissa.
Hi.
I think this is the first time I said main host. I really feel bad saying
kind
that
of
now.
privileged thing.
Egotistical.
Yeah, very much so.
The fame's gone to me.
Fame has gone to his head. He gets some articles printed, and boy, speaking of articles.
Yeah.
Oh, straight into that. Okay. So yeah, I did have another article. I think it's my biggest one yet for the Raider Ramble. It was basically doing a summary of Derek Carr's 2020 season. It was also picked up by Bleacher Report, so that's the third time I've had an article be put on Bleacher Report, which is really nice. Really love getting that attention. But yeah, it was definitely one of my biggest. My best writing, I think, at least like in terms of like how big of a deal it was.
The responses, you got a lot of responses.
Yes, 100 comments. Of course, I had some of those. It was mainly just me like trying to either say thank you to someone commenting on my work, or just defending it in case someone tries to. You could say challenging my perspective of things. Telling me I'm wrong, even though a lot of this is really opinionated. Of course, the world we live in now, everyone's going to kill each other over opinions and such. But anyways, I was really happy to get this work done with the Ramble and get it featured on Bleacher Report. And mostly, especially in the beginning of it coming out, the responses were pretty positive. People saying, I totally agree that, not everything is on Carr. He definitely did a good job for most of the season, and, the hate that he gets is unnecessary. But, of course, eventually the other people will roll in saying, oh, we were still 8-8. It's about time we get rid of him. Or, people were saying, oh, great, now trade for Watson.
Well, what was the title of the article?
It was Raiders 2020 Rewind. QB Derek Carr had a career year in 2020.
Okay.
And, of course, another response people had to that is like, oh, career year, and yet they were only 8-8. It's like, and I tell people, too, it's a team sport, folks. You can't expect one guy to carry everything. Like, when they bring up Watson, it's like, well, if you want to bring record into it, they were only 4-12, and sure, his roster was worse, but it just shows that the game of football doesn't fall onto how one person plays. There's so much that it depends on. Coaching, the whole players.
Well, the defense was terrible this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the fact that some people don't see that, like it's funny when people bring up trading for Watson and they say, you got to trade for at least like, not only just Carr but multiple first rounders, which could be used on defense.
And how would you rate Watson again?
He's still top 5 for me. He's
still top 5. Okay.
A better quarterback than Derek Carr, of course. But the thing
is,
is,
okay,
I think he's clearly a better quarterback than.
Or should you say of Carr's?
Oh, jeez, I wish we had a cricket button here. But anyways, I do think he is a better quarterback. But I think like when people like try too hard to defend Carr and say that he's better than Watson, I think they're definitely reaching there. But the point that I try to make is that it's what it costs to get someone like Watson. Because people will bring up the prices, like saying at least 3 first rounders. Like that's a team that is going. You have to be going into rebuild once you make that move, and plus you got to consider his salary, which is almost. I think like Carr's around $20 million, and Watson is at like $40 million a year.
Yeah, and Watson wants out too.
Yeah, he wants out of Houston very badly. It just shows the collapse of Houston sports because they've lost so many people, and it's a shame. But anyways, back to my article. Do you guys want to say anything about it?
I read it. It was very informative.
Marissa?
Yeah, it was really, really good. And for somebody like me who doesn't know everything about football, it's very easy to understand. So, good job.
Yeah. And, like I said, I'm very grateful when people, bring up the article. Or they even cite it and say, as he said in the article, people really need to see it from this perspective.
Now,
and
can you
such.
run it by the people one more time? How to read that article?
Oh, so go on Bleacher Report. You can scroll down, but the main way you can find it is go on Raider Ramble, and then you either can you look at my name? I don't think so, but you look for the article that says Raiders Rewind 2020. QB Derek Carr had a career year.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, anyway, speaking of Derek Carr, not everything is great. During the inauguration, we're not going to try to get make political statements here, but during the inauguration or
I will
on the same
occasionally.
day, yes, on the day of the inauguration, Carr posted a picture saying, it's that time again where he has a workout vest on, but the workout vest is camo and it has the American flag on it. And a lot of people, took that as, that he was trying to, make a statement, for the previous president or something against our current one right now. It's in my
Silly.
opinion,
Silly.
I could see what people are trying to say by it, and I think if for anyone that listens to us, you can tell where we are with it. We're all mostly on the left, but we're not crazy about it. We're not fanatics, so we try to be fair with everything. And when I see the post, I could see what people mean if they say that it's tone deaf, or just bad timing. I'll agree with that. But then the whole thing was saying oh, trade him now or cut him or oh, F him now. What do you call it? He knows what he was trying to do. It's it's also just a post too. And that's the problem with social media now. Everything you do is going to be surveillanced. And, if you make one mistake or people assume you make a mistake, that can mean your whole life.
Well, all they were doing was reaching and trying to find a story that wasn't there, in my opinion. I mean, guy posted a picture working out.
Yeah.
No big deal. Next story.
Yeah.
It's a waste of breath.
And, people are still debating about it now. Of course, it's the thing about, Twitter. If I didn't get a lot of, actual good news from it, I probably wouldn't have it. But, because of that, I still do, and I still have to deal with seeing all the ridiculous stuff that people post, like I said, jumping the gun or just being awful to each other. Because there was a case where a Raider fan actually deactivated, a well-known fan, deactivated their Twitter account because a lot of people got on her because she disagreed with Carr's post. But she wasn't insulting about it. She didn't say F you or anything like that. She just said he should have known better. That's all she simply said. Of course, people got on her, used racial slurs and such, and so she deactivated. And now, that has created a bigger divide amongst the Raider fans because see, this was the doing of Carr stands. They did this to her. And I think you can't call out those fans, because what they did was awful. But I think one thing, and I've said it before in comment sections too, is what I'm tired of is that if I ever defend Carr or anything, that I'm automatically assumed to be a stan, or that I will devote my life to him, even if it means I don't know, just getting ridiculed. Because I get that he's not blameless. He has his mistakes. I call out his fumbling issues a lot, and that I would love if he ran with the ball more. But I just find a lot of the hate that he gets to be unnecessary. But it is completely unacceptable to come at someone you disagree with, no matter what the topic is, and threaten them or use anything racially motivated against them. That is completely disgusting. And
No violence. No violence.
Yeah, no violence. But Marissa, what are your thoughts on it? Because I just want to know.
Yeah, I think Carr's timing with that post was definitely bad. But I also think the reporter who ended up reposting it might have just done it just to get clicks.
Yeah, and he said he didn't, but it's it's just the same thing as people say, oh, you did. Yeah, I think with that one, you definitely knew what you were doing by posting it, especially with the ... It's why else would you post it then?
But I mean, if you're famous and you're on Twitter, you're always gonna get people that agree or disagree with what you have to say. But the bottom line is, what happened to the Raider fan who deactivated her Twitter was absolutely terrible and just disgusting. And Raider fans, and I mean, I guess just fans of any team in general, you gotta treat each other better, because you're there, that's your team, you guys all love the same team, and just does no violence. And you can't use racial slurs. That's pretty gross. But I just want to I just want to say one thing. I think for Carr's response, obviously, if you post something without the intent that people think you have, you might get defensive. And I think his defensiveness might have also made people upset. So I think maybe Carr should have came with a different tone and just was like, oh, hey, my bad. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just trying to work out. I know it was bad timing. Sorry about that. I feel like that could have helped the situation.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a pretty ugly situation overall. And I even made a response too, because to the people that said, trade him or cut him. It's like, I know a lot of the people that are saying this right now were also the same that were begging for the Raiders to sign Tom Brady in the offseason last year. And it's like, you do realize though that if you're getting on Carr because you think he is with Trump, then you also got to realize that Brady is buddies with him and also had a MAGA hat in his locker. So like, if you're gonna do it, might as well make it make sense, basically. That's all I ask. And of course, and you're gonna expect things like this to happen, because he has plenty of people that don't like him no matter what he does, and they're always gonna look for some angle to attack him from. So it's gonna happen. I do agree with what Marissa says. Maybe he should have made more of an apology, even though I still think people took it out of context. You just still want to try to do the best you can to get in the people's good graces.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dad?
Hell with people's good graces.
Yeah.
Who cares what they think? It was a picture of him in a shirt, had a flag on it. Big deal. Next.
All right, so let's talk about how the divisional round went for the NFL. So to recap them, Browns lost to the Chiefs in what almost became a big upset because the Chiefs lost Patrick Mahomes in I believe the third quarter of the game due to what was evaluated as a concussion. He took a weird hit, because it was weird to see him get really hit in the head, but when he tried to get up, he got really woozy and had trouble standing. And Browns almost mounted a comeback, but in my opinion, I think their coaching made a lot of coaching mistakes with not going for it on fourth down and such, and just like the way they set themselves up on the third and long against the Chiefs, letting the quarterback run for almost the first down, which gave them the chance to go for it on fourth and inches and seal the game. But anyways, Chiefs have moved on. We don't know yet if Mahomes is going to play, but it seems likely that he will. The big question is, will he be 100%? And I say maybe he'll be at 80% at best, because a concussion is not easy to recover from.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the extent of the concussion, but it's a different ball game right now with the protocol, because now the NFL is involved, and they will not let him go out there unless he's 100%.
Yeah, I will find it suspicious if he does play, because just how bad he looked for that bit. It's like, I don't know how you can play the next week.
Well, because it's being regulated by the NFL, there should be no questions about it.
Yeah, but anyway, so then they're going to go against the Bills, who, their defense really shut out the Baltimore Ravens. I definitely feel for Lamar Jackson. He just did not really have that good of a game, and the Bills, you gotta give them credit because they definitely, they forced him to throw a lot more. They took away a lot of his running lanes.
Well, he had been trying to carry the team, and he actually had carried the team for the last 5 weeks. He got him into the playoffs. He got him the first playoff win. He just couldn't get over the hump. I think that's going to come next year.
Yeah, and I try not
to make. He's 24 years old, so he's got
time.
Yeah, third year in the league.
But one thing, and to give him not exactly not an excuse, but just give a reason why this probably happened was also because I think that the offensive coordinator wasn't really that imaginative. Their offense was becoming very predictable. Which is something they were able to get out of, but it seemed like they just really went back into it in that game. Where it just didn't seem like they were creative enough. And one thing that really broke their backs too was the pick six in the third quarter when they could have tied it up. That really killed it right there.
Let me stop you right there for a second, because getting back to the Chiefs-Browns game, the Browns didn't rush enough at all.
Chubb wasn't getting enough carries. Neither was
Not nearly
Kareem
enough
Hunt.
carries, and they gave up on the rushing game way too early, and forcing Mayfield to pass the ball way too much.
Yeah, and one issue I also have with the coaching is even when they did use the running backs, they weren't being used correctly because there were several screen passes to Nick Chubb, who is already known for not being great catching the ball, and they threw it to him multiple times, and he was dropping the passes.
Back-to-back passes.
But that's the reason why they have Kareem Hunt, because he's supposed to be like one of the best running backs at catching the ball. And the reason I don't know why they didn't have him in this place, because he got a touchdown later on, Hunt. So it makes no sense whatsoever why he wasn't used for those plays. You don't know if they would have been able to get a first down and extend drives if they used him more, especially in the passing game. You know, it just really did not make a lot of sense to do that. Marissa, what were your thoughts on that game?
I actually thought Baker Mayfield had a pretty good game passing. You know, he ended up costing me like $30. Yeah. I think everybody pretty much expected the Chiefs to win. Yeah.
But I didn't expect them to win after Mahomes went down.
Yeah, I thought
the Browns. It was like, you know,
when it became a one-score
sick
game.
the dogs on a new quarterback.
Yeah, and when it became a one-score game, you know, it felt like the momentum was going to be all theirs. But you know what also hurt too was Myles Garrett getting hurt in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Because he was on the sideline during the last Chiefs drive to, you know, ice it out. So, you know, that has to hurt a lot for them.
Well, they didn't take advantage of the new quarterback being in there, and they didn't rush him hard enough. They didn't rattle his cage.
Good credit to Andy Reid too, because he made some great play calls and he put him in a position to succeed, which, you know, just says a lot about how good of a coach Andy Reid is. He really is a good coach. And the weapons around him too. He's still got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to throw to, and he made sure to use them. And Heine made a play with his legs, you know, which, as I mentioned earlier, helped them get the first down.
Is how you say it?
Or Heine? Heine, I don't know.
Funnier.
I like Heine's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever.
I think it's
floats
Heine.
your boat,
I think it's
I guess. But anyway, so who do you think is going to win this game, the AFC Championship? Because I already got the Bills on this one here.
Well, Bills are favored by 4 right now. I think that's assuming Mahomes won't play. I like Buffalo, but I picked KC to win it. So I'm gonna stick with my guns. I'm gonna go with KC. I think even with Henne, they're gonna manage to win.
I don't know. Not having Patrick Mahomes makes this harder for me to pick.
Not having him yet, you know, the fact that he isn't there yet.
Now, I will remind you did pick KC.
Yeah, because with Patrick Mahomes,
early.
I assume.
Are you hopping off the KC bus?
No, I don't know. I guess I'm going to go with KC. I would like Buffalo to win because I like them better. You know, KC beat the Niners last year. I'm not over it. I don't want to see them go back.
My team can't go, neither can you.
I guess KC. I'm going to have KC win.
Okay.
I'm going to, diverge away and go with the Buffalo Bills to win this one.
Now, who did you have?
Are you?
Yeah, I still had the Bills.
You said
I had the Bills winning the Super Bowl from the start, so, it's easy to just stick with them right now. And this is regardless if Patrick Mahomes plays. I think with what the Buffalo Bills were able to do to the Ravens, they're not, Jackson and Mahomes aren't the same quarterbacks, but it has shown, when you play a certain style of like playing further back and such, it does have an effect on Mahomes. Now, of course, that also lies with the coaching. Are they going to decide to run the ball more, which will help them out? Because that was how the Chiefs lost to the Raiders. They barely ran the ball, and they only passed the ball, which really hurt them because the Raiders just kept staying back on plays. And what helped the Chiefs beat the Raiders the next game was that they ran the ball a lot more and they had long drives. That was a big difference maker right there. So I'm not exactly sure if they're going to be up to that challenge, the Bills exactly. But they still have a great defense that can make plays. They got a good defensive line. They can try to disrupt Mahomes. And even if Mahomes isn't dealing with concussion, he's still got the toe injury too that we can't ignore. That's going to mess with his mobility. So that just might make things easier for the Bills to prepare for. Because if concussion isn't going to mess him up enough. The toe definitely will, because that's going to affect how he moves around. So yeah, I'm going to have the Bills win this one. And now on to the NFC games last week. These are a big disappointing one. The Saints and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Breeze had such a sour ending to his career in that one, tossing 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he did not look good.
No, and Michael Thomas was completely embarrassed. No catches for the whole game. His Twitter holder, is that what you call it, or his username is Can't Guard Mike.
Twitter handler
is Can't Guard Mike, but apparently I guess you can.
Well, how many targets did he have?
4, but also that could show too that he was just so well guarded.
Or
he
bad
wasn't
passes.
throwing to.
Breeze, he should retire last year. But I know, not being a professional athlete of any kind myself, from what I know, these guys, it's hard to get out of the limelight because playing in the NFL in a professional sport is a rush.
Yeah.
You get play in front of fans, even though they didn't do it this year. You play for pride. You do. There's so much involved with being a pro athlete, and to diminish, and to have his diminished capacity, throwing, movement,
Decision making,
pretty much everything, had to be a big letdown for him. Just like Philip Rivers, he announced his retirement, I believe yesterday.
Yeah.
Because he saw the big picture. He wasn't. He was throwing an interception. While he did play good for Indianapolis.
Comeback.
It's just his time is up.
Yeah, you got. It's like that song. Where you say you got to know when to hold up, know when to walk out. They
just don't sing the song.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
But I do have a question though about that game. Do you think Taysom Hill playing would have made a difference, because he didn't play? He had some injury during practice, and so then he wasn't able to play. Would him being on the field have changed the game enough for the Saints to win?
Well, what did the Bucs win by?
They won by at least 2 scores. It was 30-20, I think. Or
yeah, actually, it doesn't make a difference how many. He would have definitely made a difference.
Yeah, but enough of a difference though.
Because just when he is in there, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they could have had him throw more.
Look at the one play they had, the backup quarterback.
Winston.
Winston. He comes here, throws a 50, 60-yard touchdown pass.
Their longest touchdown, their longest play of the year, I think.
Yeah, so, and he, for all you know, Hill could have made that pass. If he was healthy, he would have been in there instead of Winston.
And I think that goes on Payton too, because when you're the coach, you have to play to win. And even though it might have been a bummer for Brees to sit down, you got to try to do your best to win. And I think Winston actually would have given them the best chance if they put him in, because Brees ended up becoming a liability at the end of the game. And credit to the Bucs defense, they played a great game, and it just shows. It's even more painful for Raider fans to watch because. What's his name? David, the main linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, really wanted to be on the Raiders, but Raiders clearly didn't draft him when they had multiple picks to do so. And the more we watch him play, the more painful it gets, because Raiders really could have used someone like him this year.
I look at it as more of a Saints loss than a Bucs win.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. And the whole thing was Brady, because a lot of people were saying, oh, man, whoever didn't sign Brady really lost out and such. It's like, Brady wasn't the reason why they were so good this year. Now, sure, it helps that he didn't throw as many interceptions as James Winston did. James Winston threw 30 last year. Sure, that helps out a lot. But that's not a lot to ask for from a quarterback. Many quarterbacks cannot throw 30 interceptions in a year. And plus, you got to see that with the defense. They gave him opportunities a lot, just like in Brady's last years with the Patriots. He had great defenses, so he got more opportunities even when he wasn't really trying to fling the ball much. He was throwing a lot of checkdowns, which made things a lot easier. Do you have something to say?
Oh, are you saying that a good defense actually helps?
Yes, it does. And the fact that some people don't see that tells something that they don't really watch the complete game. But anyways, on to the next game, the Green Bay Packers and the Rams, that was, yes, exactly. That was a pretty boring game. Although credit to Rodgers, though, he did a great job against the Rams. Although Rams didn't have a 100% of Aaron Donald because he was still dealing with a rib injury.
And they didn't have the 100% quarterback either.
Yeah, well, Goff did not play well. But they also, Cooper Kupp not being there probably has to hurt him because that's probably his favorite target to use. So, yeah, just a bummer overall. But the Packers defense, on the most part, they had one stretch in that game where they just were not playing well. But mostly they did a great job at causing pressure to Jared Goff. They were able to get through the O-line pretty well. So a lot of credit to them. And again, see, defense, they do a good job for you.
I don't think so. I think Carr needs to be on defense.
Oh, well, be careful. Don't say that on Twitter. They'll kill you for that. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, Jared Goff did not have a good game. Rodgers was really great. Although I know someone here isn't a big Rodgers fan, despite the majority.
Well, actually, I was talking in the spread. It was Buffalo -4 3 days ago. Now it is Kansas City -2.5. The spread on the Green Bay Tampa Bay game is 3.5 in favor of Green Bay. The Battle of the Bays.
But not the East Bays.
No.
But anyways, so what do you guys think? Who are you gonna have in this game? Because I got Packers easily going with this one here. I just think that as great as the Bucs defense is, I think Rodgers is just too good right now. They're gonna have to find someone to guard Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and you still got the way that Rodgers is able to utilize his other receivers, Scantling and Lazard, and Tunyon too. It's going to be hard to stop, on all cylinders. And I think the Bucs defense, their weakness is the secondary because they got a great front seven, but the secondary I think is definitely the weakest part of their defense.
Well, how bad did the Bucs beat the Packers earlier in the year?
I think it was like 28-10. Like the Packers scored the first 10, and then at least by halftime it was 28-10. So I think it got a lot worse from there, but I don't remember the final score. But it was the Packers, only scored 10 points in that whole game. And one thing that made the difference was how much they were able to pressure Rodgers. And the question is, will they be able to do that again? I think if they can do that again, then they got a good shot at winning. But you also got to say that the Packers defense has also been a lot better since the beginning of the year too, so you wonder if they'll have anything for Brady.
Marissa?
Yeah, I think Rodgers right now is pretty unstoppable, so I think the Packers are going to win, and I think there's a really good chance we're going to watch the State Farm Bowl.
Oh.
And a rematch of Super Bowl I.
If that happens, then we got to say that sports are completely rigged.
Yeah, I think State Farm paid a lot of money to get them in there.
Of course we're kidding.
Yes, I was hoping you were kidding.
I'm trying to say something anon, but I can't think of which letter should be used.
I like the Packers a lot.
State Farm.
Because Aaron Rodgers is a Cowboy. Cal, C-A-L boy.
Yeah, we're not Cowboy fans here.
Yeah, and we live in California, so we have tickets to Cal football games, me and my son. So I love him as a quarterback. And if they can get any kind of a running game, that'll immensely help the passing game. Not that they need help with the passing game, but just to open up their offense a little bit more. And their running game has been really good. Jones has been coming through. Offensive line has been playing better. Packers defense has been playing better. I think everything they're hitting all strides right now.
Yeah, and speaking of Cal, someone still doing with them. Pac-12, they have parted ways with their commissioner, Larry Scott, which a lot of people are actually happy about. So, and I didn't know a whole lot about it because I don't focus on college sports as much as professional. But I do think that this is a good move for them because I think I can agree that the Pac-12, compared to the other conferences in the Power 5 of college sports, they really have not been as relevant. And of course, a lot of it has to do with just how much the other schools try harder, like Bama, Clemson, Duke. They're always like on the top end. there does need to be more competition because I don't see how college fans are able to take it because it's like, well, we already know that Alabama's going to go to the national championship like every year. I just don't see how that's fun. That's the reason why I don't like college sports is because it's so much of a power team.
Well,
sport,
and everything isn't
super
done on
teams.
every team isn't treated equally. You got your Big Ten, you got your Pac-12, you got your Big 8, you got your these other conferences where they might pull back on certain violations, look the other way for this or that. I think college sports is as crooked as hell. They should pay a certain amount of money to all the players because they're making a hell of a lot of money for the universities.
Yeah,
They're putting cash in that university, so they should get a percentage of uniform sales or shirt sales, whatever, jerseys. If they want to sign their autographs for money, go right ahead.
Yeah.
I just the whole college sports is I think pretty
It's a joke.
Yeah,
and I get I totally get why people should get paid. I just don't really see why they should. We're not asking them to get $1 million salaries. We're not saying to get paid as much as a pro, but they got to be owed something back. They get an education. Shouldn't they be growing? No, but they're devoting themselves to make sure you get money. There's got to be some sort of return. What's it worth if it's just a one-sided deal?
Yeah, especially if they're putting their bodies on the line so your school can make money
And get attention and more students.
Especially right now with COVID, I think they should have. I mean, I think
it's a
essential
no-brainer
workers
thing.
should have got a hazard pay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
why?
I should have gotten a check.
Well, why Notre Dame wasn't punished at all
Yeah.
when they
Oh
they
yeah,
beat
that
Clemson?
was.
Is that who they?
Yeah, they
When they beat
Clemson.
Clemson, and the entire field was flooded with students. No sanctions, no punishments were given. That was a disgrace.
And then Alabama, after they won, it didn't have to exactly do with the school, but the streets of Alabama, where they were flooding the streets. It was like a sea of people, and I don't even care if you have a mask there. You're still making a lot of physical contact, all bunched up like that.
I'm not going to put
ridiculous.
that on the school though. That's outside the school. That's just
But it's
morons.
Still, but even at the games though, people didn't have masks, and that still should go to the school for not, bringing a strong enough mandate to make sure that.
But it would mess up their hair.
Either way, it was a total joke. But anyways, back to the thing. That's what we think about the championship games for the NFL. Another thing we should also talk about too. We haven't talked about it enough is basketball or at all, as I think my dad was gonna get ready to say. We should just start off with talking about our favorite team, the Warriors.
The Warriors.
Whether or not you call them San Francisco or Oakland, just call them Golden State. That way we just don't have to debate about that.
Should have stayed in Oakland.
Yes, they should have.
They should have. We were 10 minutes away from going to every game. But that's something else.
But anyways, I'm definitely happy with how they're doing right now, especially just compared to last year. It's so nice to have Curry back on the floor. Seeing this team. It does suck to not have Klay Thompson right now, but just seeing how they're playing at the moment it makes me happy to see. James Wiseman had a career game against the Spurs last night. Seeing them beat the Lakers was definitely fun to see. Curry had a great game. Oubre, that was his best game so far as a Warrior. There's a lot to look forward to right now.
Yeah, Pascal, I think think the most pleasant, actually two, Pascal and Wiggins have played out of their minds. Wiggins is playing like he was a rookie again. His defense is better. His shooting is better. His whole game is better. Up to this year, he had not had one game where he had 4 blocks, and he's not really he was never considered a defensive player. He's got 3 games this year with at least 4 blocks, and he's averaging, I think, 2.5 blocks a game.
And
that's incredible.
A lot of it has to do with, I think, 2 people. Well, you could say 3 people. Kerr, Green, and what's the other defensive coach's name? You always mention him a lot.
Adams.
Ron Adams. They have to be very influential on that. He's a culmination of what they have been teaching him. And I think that's going to keep going, for if he stays for even more years. I don't know what the contract is exactly, but I do believe it is more than 1 year.
Well, let's go with the players while we're here talking. We're talking about Warriors here for about a little bit here, but let's talk about the players. Pascal, your thoughts?
Definitely the sixth man for the Warriors. I'm a big fan of how he plays. He was definitely the best player last year. What about Curry? Well, he did.
A rookie last year too, by the way.
Yeah, he could easily. I could see him being a starter on a lower level team, but I just love where he is right now, and he does something that the bench hasn't really done in the last few years, which is bring points right off the bench. 'Cause I feel like the bench always struggled to score a bit, but the second unit, he's been leading the way for them, and I love watching it.
Yeah, he been coming off the bench and basically carrying the second unit along with Wiggins. He had an 8-game stretch, maybe it might have been 10 games stretch where he was averaging double digits in points.
Yeah,
and that's important for a bench player. And solid defense, very important to the Warriors team. Next, we got Wiseman, rookie Wiseman. Center for the Warriors.
I'm so glad that they drafted him. Before things were going on, when they knew they were going to have the second overall pick. Hearing more about players and seeing what their needs were. Oh man, Wiseman has to be the one. And I got a little nervous, honestly. Going to the football right here, but when watching Raider drafts, in the first round, it's always like, I know who they should get, and they don't get them. And I was kind of preparing my mind, okay, if they don't get Wiseman, I just gotta be, and they get Wiseman. Woo! They get the clear number one answer, instead of trying to reach for someone else. They got the one that they know is going to provide an immediate addition. He's going to be an immediate addition to the team, and he has been. He's had some down games, but he only played 3 games in college. He's still really good.
Yeah, he is gone. He's going nowhere but up. What I do like about him is his offense. What I don't like about him is his rebounding. He gets out rebounded almost every game by people like Curry. And at Green, I can see him getting more rebounds, but Curry, he's not attacking the boards enough. But it's a work in progress. I love it the way Green is coaching him on almost every play. And he's very
articulate.
He's very into learning what Green has to say. He listens to Green, and he knows he's a work in progress. He knows he hasn't played that much. So the world is his oyster. As much as he wants to put into it is what he'll get.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Marissa, do you have anything to say about how they've been so far? I know you've been watching a little bit of how the Warriors have been playing.
Yeah, they did. They're doing better than I expected. I guess. I didn't really have big expectations because I don't watch them that often. But I didn't think they were gonna be as good as they are.
Yeah, especially against the Lakers. I don't think any of us thought they had a chance against them. The spread was 16, and I thought yeah, I could see the Lakers covering that. But then they ended up winning it, and that was just I can't get over how good that game was. Because it felt like it was just gone for a while. Especially going into the fourth quarter, I don't know about their chances, but they pulled out a win.
Yeah. I was texting my family back and forth because we were all watching the game, and I said they had to play pretty much a perfect game, and it was far from perfect, but they got it done. Wiggins, we've pretty much talked about him. Do you have any feelings about Wiggins?
I definitely found it a little questionable when they first got him. The D'Angelo Russell trade. I didn't really know what to think about that, and he wasn't really producing a whole lot when he was there in his first year. But I still try to remain hopeful, and having that hope in him has really paid off because he's been playing really well, and he's shown a lot of commitment to the team. He really wants that second chance that he wasn't really given with the Timberwolves. And I just feel really bad for Wiggins in general just because he had to deal with Jimmy Butler when Jimmy Butler was on the Timberwolves because that was a really rough time. But anyways, yeah, I'm a big fan of Wiggins.
And we're talking about Curry next, and not too much to say about him. His 3-point shots has gone down percentage-wise, but it's early in the season. He's like right now 7th on the team in 3-point percentage. And it seems like the injury he had last year isn't really affecting him this year. And the game where he scored 62 against the Trailblazers was a thing of beauty. And it wasn't one of these things where he was he was scoring points for, just to get up to 60. They needed every single one of those points. Now he could have scored in previous years when they would have a big lead and he had a lot of points, a couple 50-point games that he's had in his career. They would take him out because they always had such a big lead. Just like Thompson. They took out Thompson at the end of the third quarter. He didn't even get a chance to.
When he got the, didn't he get 60 by the time they got into the fourth quarter? And also, like, the 3-point record, he had like 14 or 15,
to
get it. It's like, okay,
they didn't play they had such a big lead, why play in the fourth,
Yeah.
So, Curry hasn't changed at all. In fact, he's even more driven because so many people have talked crap about him. So he's out to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, although some of that's just Kendrick Perkins. Just
well, it's amazing for one thing because one, he's 32 years old, and other players like Gay for San Antonio and Patty Mills also in San Antonio. You look at those players and you think, man, they've been playing in the league so long, they're so old. When are they going to retire? But they're also only 32 years old. They play like they're 35. And Curry still has a bounce in his step. You see him running around every single play. And he's a driven player, especially, like I said, this year because of all the gruff he's getting.
Yeah. Any other players?
We got Green next.
Yeah, so, he wasn't there for the beginning of the season. He was dealing with some injuries still. But once he got on the floor, you can see how much of a difference he makes for the team. He might not have all the stats, especially, scoring the ball. But the way he leads the team, the way as people, the analysts say, he's the quarterback of the team.
Yeah. Now I would be watching the games and just yelling at the TV because
you want him to shoot more.
I want him to shoot more. He's got such an incredible mid-range jumper that he never shoots. He keeps shooting these damn 3-pointers, and it just drives me nuts. But for if you cannot score in the NBA, then they're not even going to guard you, which lets them put 2 players on Curry or put 2 players on Wiggins or another player that can score. He's got to prove that he can score on a regular basis. Lately. Even if he gets 5 to 10 points a game, or at least shoot the ball. It's not, I'm glad we got him back, from the injuries because the Raiders. My mind, the Warriors are 8-2 with him playing. So that's pretty impressive. Looney is next. Looney is. It seems like he's almost taken a step back.
Well, he's had a quieter year too, so it's kind of like hard to really evaluate him.
Yeah, I mean he got plenty of playing time last year, which we should note that because they didn't have Curry, they didn't have Thompson. And they basically didn't have Green either for most of last year. All the bench players were getting so much time that they wouldn't have gotten had those starters been in there. Okay, we got Bazemore next, and what a great pickup he was from Atlanta. I mean, that's instant offense off the bench.
It's nice
and he plays great defense too.
Yeah, and it's nice to see him come back too because he was with them, during the Mark Jackson days.
I think it was rookie year.
Yeah. He was there for like 3 years, I believe, and then signed with the Hawks for 4 years, and now he came back to us on the veteran minimum.
Yeah, and he will get paid.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a great player this year, scoring and, like I said, defense. We got Kelly Oubre next. We got him from Phoenix.
Yeah, trade.
Yeah, and I was so much happy the Warriors got him because, one, he is dynamic.
And
while
young.
He has, what's that?
And young.
And while he has had a rough start to the year, he shows promise. I just, watching the games, I want to reach out in the screen and yank on his jersey every time I see him shoot a 3-pointer because he started off the season 1 for 22 on 3-point shots. So, but he's taken his game to another level the last. last 6 or 7 games. Had an outbreak game against the Lakers. We got Damian Lee next, and he's been one of the second team unit, playing about 19 minutes a game. He's been pretty effective. I know he would like more minutes like he did last year when he was starting. He was very good last year. And all that time that he got last year playing with the starters out was very beneficial, and it showed in his game.
Yeah, it's always been fun watching Lee. I was always a bit nervous on if he was going to be able to stay with the team, just because I know there's the family connection and all. But
Yeah,
I
might have something to do with it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what I was thinking, is that he's gonna have to play well too. And he was pretty good last year, considering all the issues that the team had. So it's like, is he gonna be able to pull his own weight now? Can he show that he's more than just Curry's brother-in-law? Can he do more than that? And I think he's done a really good job. He got the game winner for their first win of the season. And he's been a steady player. He's had a few games, lately where he hasn't been shooting the ball as well. But I definitely think he's earned his spot on this Warriors team.
Oh, yeah. We got Wanamaker next. We got him from
Boston.
Boston.
Signed
Playmaker.
Boston.
He helms the second unit, and he's pretty efficient.
Good veteran presence. His shooting leaves a bit to be desired. He was shooting pretty well in the beginning of the season, but his compared to how Lee's has dropped off, I think he's dropped off even more. But he's also not taking as many shots too, though. So I'll give him that benefit. But overall, yeah, he's a pretty good defender. He's just gotta work on the easier shots. That's all I'd ask from him.
Yeah, we have Jordan Poole. He hasn't been playing that much. Getting kind of garbage time minutes. Might get how many minutes a game was he getting?
Jordan Poole 9.6.
Yeah, so he's getting there a little bit at the end of the quarters, and
yeah,
he's efficient.
Yeah, I would say though that by the end of the season they're gonna have to evaluate his future with the team, because for someone that was drafted onto the team, you would expect him to be playing more. So are they gonna keep him on, for that small role? Are they going to try to give him a bigger one, or are they going to give him to a team that could use a role like his and, get someone else with that trade?
And they have the last player we're talking about is Mulder. His first name is?
Michael.
Michael Mulder. Yeah, I know everybody here by heart. He's a good player. He doesn't get all that many minutes, but the time he does, he's putting the ball in the basket.
He's good at getting you a corner threes. I feel like he loves shooting the corner three. That's his favorite shot easily. So it's good to have him, be reliable in that aspect of the game.
And the thing about this team here, the whole team is, I think they're ranked third or fourth in defense.
I think so. Their defense has really stepped up lately.
Yeah. So that is the Warrior roster.
So we'll go over the records for the teams as of right now. So starting off with the Lakers, they are 11-4. The Suns are 8-5. The Clippers are 11-4. The Pelicans are 5-8. The Jazz are 10-4. The Warriors are 8-6. The Kings are 5-10. The Mavericks are 7-7. The Spurs are 8-7. The Trailblazers are 8-6. The Nuggets are 7-7. The Rockets are 4-9. The Thunder is 6-7. The Timberwolves are 3-10. The Grizzlies are 7-6. And then the
Eastern Conference.
The 76ers are 10-5. The Magic are 7-8. Pacers are 8-6. Celtics are 8-5. Knicks are 7-8. The Cavs are 7-7. The Bucks are 9-5. The Hawks are 7-7. The Nets are 9-7. The Heat is 6-7. The Bulls are 6-8. The Hornets are also 6-8. The Wizards are 3-8. The Raptors are 5-9, and the Pistons are 3-11.
I think the Pistons are probably one of the surprising teams right now because they have
great setup with Griffin. He's been really good with them, and they still got Josh Jackson, Jeremy Grant, who I didn't really know too much about, but he's been their highest scoring player on offense. Well, of course, the highest scoring player on offense. Yeah, he's been really good. And I don't know if they'll really have much of a presence in the NBA, just because of all the big teams in the NBA right now. Cavaliers are another surprise team too. I didn't expect them to be 500 right now. I thought because I know they were I think the second or
Cavs are 7-7 right now. They just got through beating
the Brooklyn Nets with the Big Three debut.
The Big Three, yeah. Let's speak about the Nets for a second, shall we?
Yeah. So there was some not controversy going on, but some drama, with Irving not being there for the team for about a week and a half, I think, where he was spotted at parties without a mask on. Some did question,
they were questioning his mental health.
That or his devotion to the team, commitment to the team. And then they traded for Harden. Some wondered if they were going to trade Irving as well, but if Irving was going to be involved in the trade, but he wasn't.
He made himself unavailable to be traded. If you're going to be, and the whole time they were trying to get Harden, he was Irving was acting like a lunatic, making himself. Who would for instance, who would want him if he's acting this way?
Yeah.
Right. So they were basically going to be kept. They were basically going to keep him and work these other trades with 4 other teams were involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens 2 days after Harden gets back, or Harden joins the team. Well, Kyrie's all fine and dandy, and they all played together today, and they did lose.
The three of them did have a great game. The part I tried to point out from that game was that the bench for the Nets combined for only 10 points. The other bench combined for the Cavaliers combined for 32. Of course, a lot of that
was a double overtime game, right?
Yeah, and of course, a lot of it probably has to do with how much Durant, Harden, and Irving will command the ball. But still, though, I still just think that's unacceptable for a bench to only combine for 10 points compared to the Cavaliers bench. And credit to Colin Sexton, he had a great game, 42 points, I believe. He was just unstoppable, and that's one thing the Nets are gonna have to look to do is they're gonna have to improve their defense if they're gonna win because. You need a defense to win.
Yeah, the Lakers, they're going to be a tough team all year long. 76ers, same thing. Celtics, same thing. There's going to be some surprises, like right now, the Kings.
Oh, God, the Kings.
Yeah, they started off, I thought they were going to be a pretty good team.
That franchise has been full of disappointments for a long
they're
time.
5-10. Yeah, the Suns have been a nice surprise. They got Booker and what's his face, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
They play an up-tempo game. They got a really exciting team. They are 8-5.
They're a pretty good team. Chris Paul shows that he can carry a team. Like what he did with the Thunder. Everyone thought that the Thunder was going to be an awful team last year, but he did a great job. I'm not a fan of Chris Paul, but I still got to give credit when it's due. Yeah,
Grizzlies have been a hot team. They're 5-1 in their last 6 games. After starting off, they're 2-5. They're 7-6 right now. And this is our first podcast we've done about the NBA, and
we're going to be doing more of it now. Especially since the NFL is coming to a close. And, it's about time that we started doing this, too. I put a lot of that on myself for not taking the initiative to get into the basketball season. But we're going to do what we can, especially me, to make sure we are committed to talking about basketball more.
So now we'll just get into some baseball news. We'll start off with George Springer, who signed a 6-year, $150 million contract with the Toronto Blue Jays on Tuesday. I think this is a really big move for the Blue Jays because, George Springer, even though I think he had a little bit of an off year due to some injuries, he's a really good player and he's going to be a really good piece for them.
Well, I think didn't he go to the Blue Jays because of their healthcare system?
That's actually a good decision.
So maybe we might get a comment from someone who's too political.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, we'll just shut up then.
Any comment better than no comment.
That's true.
That's true. Honestly, go back to my article about Carr. It's just like I'm like, come on, someone tell me I'm wrong. Someone call me an idiot.
Yeah.
I dare you. I have the stats. I have the numbers. Challenge me.
We're not doing this podcast it'd be nice if we had a lot of people listening, but right now we just enjoy each other's company, and we're informing each other about the sports all around.
But yeah, I totally agree with you there. It's just really fun to talk about sports in general. A bigger audience would definitely be, really nice to have as well. And plus also just someone to hate us. I actually, it'd be nice to have someone hate us.
Yeah.
Because then we could just say, no, you're wrong. and just keep going. And then, because then, like, if they keep talking about us and we're not even, like, really addressing them, then it just shows that we're in their head.
And we're still young in this podcast, too. So
yeah.
we have a lot of learning, and we hope to be very informative to you guys as well.
All right. So, back to baseball.
Back to baseball.
Yeah, so I think the Mets were actually going after Springer as well, but they missed out on that. And the Blue Jays were really close to signing Michael Brantley, who was with the Astros with Springer. But he ended up deciding to stay. So
I'm honestly really disappointed. I feel like he was like one of the good Astros, one that wasn't blabbering his mouth the whole time like Carlos Correa. The whole time, man, he really became so hated.
I could do an hour-long podcast about.
Yeah, I will still say though that definitely does help out the Astros. One little thing is that Astro Sports have not Astro Sports, Houston Sports have really fallen off in the last few years. Texans, their best guy doesn't want to be there anymore. Houston just traded their best guy and some others. And now this with the Astros, But I still feel like it's not enough for the Astros. They deserve worse.
I feel like the AL West, I don't know how they're going to be next year as a whole.
They went from being such a good division years ago. Right now, they look like they can be a really weak one.
Yeah, especially with how... Well, the Angels, if they somehow add Bauer, which we'll get to, maybe they can compete.
But they never get pitching. They never address it. It's
Yeah.
so sad.
Oh, sounds like the Raiders.
Never addressing defense. It's Mike Trout's fault.
Okay.
Why doesn't he have enough wins? Go ahead.
Anyway, on to a much bigger deal. The Mets picked up, or I guess the Mets traded for Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco from the Cleveland Indians.
The Cleveland baseball team.
Eventually. It was a pretty big trade, especially for the Mets. The Mets didn't perform that well last year.
Alonso was a
it was a big bust.
Yeah.
And
a sophomore slump, I'll say.
Yeah. The Mets, like I said, got Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco, and the Indians were going to get Andres Jimenez, Ahmed Rosario, Josh Wolf, and Isaiah Green. So they got a couple young guys. I don't think Cleveland's going to be very good next year or moving forward, especially without Lindor. But for the Mets, I think this was a really big deal for them. Getting Lindor is almost similar to the Dodgers getting Mookie Betts. He's just really going to be a spark, especially in their offense, who really needed help.
Yeah. New York is a team that has money. They just got to spend it wisely. You can spend money, but you got to use it wisely.
New York has such a dominant history with baseball. The Yankees, but the other sports, not really. Like hockey might be their next best one with the Rangers.
The Yankees, their television contract is worth billions. They pay their salary on the TV contract alone.
Yeah, if only the A's had something like that.
A's don't even have a radio contract.
Well, everything is done by Morse code, I think.
No, they put notes on pigeons' feet and then they let them fly away. Only 40% get through.
You have to imagine the game.
You have to imagine the game.
You're trying to save money on the radio broadcast by doing it in sign language.
Oh my gosh.
On the radio too. You say, wait, I think I hear the first finger moving, and then I think that's the middle finger curling. All right, if I. Oh jeez, this more A's slander.
Yeah, but unfortunately, while this was good news for the Mets, they also had some bad news. They had to fire their general manager Jared Porter due to sending explicit and unsolicited text messages to a female reporter.
He was down bad.
Yeah, didn't she? He sent her like 60 or 60 something messages, and she ignored them all. And the one she did open, there was a picture and a message or something.
Yes, an explicit image.
Explicit image. I do.
What could that be?
I believe somebody somewhere I put out that this was actually very detrimental to this female reporter's career, and she was, I guess, really traumatized by this.
It's wrong. It's wrong on every level.
Yeah, and they did the right thing by firing him.
Yeah.
And 2 words, just down bad.
Yeah. I think the Mets, they announced that they weren't going to hire a GM for this season. They were going to wait till next season to figure that out, to replace Jared Porter. So, but they still have enough money, and they can still do whatever to get their team into playoff contention.
Mets, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. We gotta get it together.
I guess we should also talk about Bauer. Trevor Bauer. He's 30 years old. He's still not signed. He turned down the qualifying offer for the Cincinnati Reds. I think he said he's not looking for any 1-year deals, but he's just dragging this out. He needs to sign already. Spring training's coming up. I'm getting tired of hearing about him not signing.
Who would you like him to go to besides your Giants?
No, I don't want him.
No?
I don't know. I think right now they said that the Mets and the Angels are the 2 biggest teams that are going after him. There was some talk about the Dodgers for a minute. I don't know. He's got a really big personality, so I feel like he would like to go to the Dodgers and, have all that. Well, maybe not, because the Dodgers have so many stars. It'd be harder for him to be a star.
But less pressure.
Yeah.
You got it with the team they have. They're stacked. Jeez. They can easily win it for the next couple of years.
No, don't say that.
Anyway.
Yeah. I'm definitely got really annoyed with him because, now if he signs with someone, now the team also might have to be ready for whatever he has to say. Yeah, I bet some people are going to have fun with it because I think still mostly people do have fun with what he says, but I feel like it's going to get tiring at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely trying to bring fun back to the game, which is good. But I also am getting annoyed that he hasn't signed. And he's had, I guess, good seasons. And last year was a really great season for him. He won the Cy Young Award. And I don't know, I think it's hard to base how much he should get based on a short season where he only played teams in the Central who all stunk last year. So
yeah,
and I don't know.
One thing I want to bring up, actually, hopefully we don't extend this too much, but speaking of bringing fun to the game of baseball, one thing we should have talked about, with how the games were before when we couldn't talk about the divisional games, the wild card. What we can recap them was how for the Saints and Bears game, an option that people had to watch it was on Nickelodeon, which was a move made to make sure they expand their audience onto a younger
to 6-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And also just people who still watch Nickelodeon, and I don't even watch it anymore, but I was definitely intrigued.
You watched it a little bit. I mean, it was colorful, I guess, and it was a gimmick.
They explained the rules. I mean,
Yeah,
that's actually a
the
really
thing I
good
liked too, was
idea.
that they explained the rules, and they were also simple to do, and they hyped up even the littlest of things because, if you're an adult fan, it's like, oh, why are they hyping up a punt? But they're trying to they're doing this for kids because they want to try to make everything exciting as possibly as they can. That way, because the kids' attention span is really small. So is mine.
Well, you had mentioned that they should do that with baseball, didn't you?
Oh yeah, but one thing, to finish the point, one thing, if you're an adult and you hated how they did that, you obviously missed the point of why they did this in the first place. It's not meant for you. It can be nostalgic, for
that's why they had it on a couple
people,
different channels.
But it's mainly meant for kids, and I think they did a really good job though, because a lot of people were talking about how they were able to watch a game with their kids for once, and how their kids actually had fun with it. Although they also chose a bad matchup too, because that game was also kind of boring in general.
Okay.
Next time they got to choose like two teams who score a lot.
Yeah, but the little kids wouldn't be
Scoring.
involved in the game anyway. They didn't care who played. They like to see the different things on TV.
Yeah,
The colors doing this and the ball doing that and whatever.
But
So they didn't care who played.
But overall, though, I think it's something that they should try next year as well. I think there should be a weekly Nickelodeon game. The only thing that they need to do, though, is they need to put an emphasis on the the censors, just in case, because a player was caught with an F-bomb during the game, and of course, I bet some parents had to teach their kids about what swearing was, or what people say when they're frustrated.
Yeah.
But I bet parents.
7-second delay next time. I mean, surprised they didn't have it at the game. 7-second delay, just for that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely need to have that ready if they want to do this, and I think.
So if somebody
really
swore,
should.
they can go beep beep or sound of a
the
dolphin.
sound. The dolphin sound, which actually used in an episode of SpongeBob where they were swearing a lot, but they kept covering it with the dolphin sound.
Yeah.
So that was a big missed
I
opportunity.
think it was
there.
also, lack of fans. That made it easier to hear.
Yeah.
Next year it should be better, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, I think it was a good idea, and it's something that it screams out to the MLB is like what you see what other leagues are doing. What are you gonna do about trying to get a better fan base? Because they try to make differences, but they just make things worse. Trying to make things quicker. It's like it doesn't.
Don't do
the time. How long the game is doesn't
baseball.
matter.
It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you cannot speed up baseball. It's not gonna work. You can make it more fun. You can make it more entertaining by letting players be themselves at least a bit more.
Well, the only way they can speed it up is by making the pitchers pitch faster, and the players not getting out of the batter's box at all. Once you get in there, boom, that's it. Throw the pitch. Get the ball back. Take a couple seconds, throw the pitch.
Even then, I think the Players Association, they'd have a problem with that. Like,
Yeah.
no, hey, that helps us.
Yeah.
And then, other ridiculous things like how players, it's not a rule, but pretty much players are not allowed to celebrate, their home runs. How the league let pitchers get away with trying to throw behind someone back or getting mad just because someone hit a home run on them. Like, it's so barbaric how the MLB is handled.
Unwritten rules, too, are pretty...
Yeah, and the MLB
ridiculous.
is the king of unwritten rules. It's too barbaric. It's too conservative. You have to adapt or you're gonna die.
Let's make it fun.
Yeah, that's what they have to do. They have to make it more fun, and it's so ridiculous how there's so many ways that they can fix this issue.
Bring back steroids.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. they got to figure out actually why is it the games that were played in the 60s and 50s, why those games were under 2 hours, and now we have these games that are 3 hours long. With the pitching, it has a lot to do with the pitching because they change
also the
so many
breaks too.
pitchers.
All the little.
How many pitchers go 9 innings now? None.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that
Well,
makes me so mad.
Well, also studio gimmicks too. Not studio, stadium gimmicks. When they have the dot race games or all those that stuff. That also has because in the earlier days they didn't have that.
They only do
So
it.
that's
I like
But they only do it because
I
of
know.
the time.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But they only do that because of the time they have. You take away that time, you won't do it. So.
No, I bet. It's also like the NBA too. When they have a game on primetime, the timeouts are longer because they're trying to show more commercials.
Yeah.
So, it's like I bet they could try. Not it's expected to happen. You can't really take away those gimmicks. Because they're good for the game. Just be more entertaining. Just be more fun.
I think definitely everybody, the Atlanta Braves, they have the freeze. The guy that they race.
Yeah.
I think every team should have some kind of thing like that. Like the Brewers have the sausage races.
Well, the A's have the Hall of Fame race.
Yeah, every team should do something like that. Maybe not a race, but they need to have something fun where you can laugh if somebody falls. I think the Mariners have this thing where people run from the outfield to the infield and try to get something. Have something like that.
Well, they could also have a race where a guy is running against somebody else and have one of them get shot. And the thing is, you don't know which one's going to get shot.
Wait.
What?
This sounds like a military exercise. But
Skip that last one.
Yeah, but anyways, though, there's so many things that they could be doing, just to gain more attention from a younger artist, like exploit more on social media, because their social medias are
Very dry.
Yeah, it's dry. They don't try to do anything. There's not enough drama too.
Honestly,
there needs to be more drama. There needs to be more players who show their personalities more.
Be dishonest.
Oh, okay. I'll be dishonest. The Angels
Now you
Twitter,
being dishonest?
where they make the memes about you just lost to whatever player.
Yeah.
Those are funnier than some of the MLB teams' own Twitter.
I think
accounts.
A's Twitter page is pretty good because they use some like pretty modern memes at the time.
They got funny commercials.
Yeah,
the A's have always had funnier commercials than the Giants.
The only Giants commercial I remembered was the one for the minor league team, the San Jose Giants.
And the Giants have always had a funnier team than the A's.
Oh.
Ouch.
Just walks out.
But
no, they won championships 3 out of 6 years.
Yeah, I think
3 out of 5.
to go back to the point about pitchers who don't go 9 innings anymore. Please let pitchers go 9 innings. I love when they try to throw complete games, shutouts. I think that's something that needs to be brought back instead of Kevin Cash taking out Blake Snell for absolutely no reason.
I wouldn't say make them because I think make it more of a player's choice. I think that's the thing is there needs to be like the Players Association needs to have a bit more power.
I think
a bit because when it came to the whole negotiation to start the season, they were very hypocritical. Like, oh, just tell us when to start, and then it's like, okay, well, let's do this then. Like that, that really pissed me off. But like, let the player decide how long they want to pitch because you don't want to a pitcher, hey, I really don't feel good. Oh no, you can go another inning.
I think a good example is when the Astros were playing the Rays. It was, I don't remember which game it was, but Greinke was on the mound and Dusty Baker went out and was like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And Greinke's like, "I got this. Leave me in." And they ended up winning that game. Managers need to have more trust in their pitchers, and when they tell them that they can do it. And they need to leave them in there and give them a shot. I think they're just relying too much on analytics.
Well, yeah, I got the nay and say on that one, but because the player is always going to say, "No, I'm shitty. I don't got it anymore, coach. Take me out." The player's always going to want to finish. So, I think
they should just have more of a say, not complete say over it.
I just think they should stop.
Well, they're always going to say they can finish.
Like,
how many players have you ever seen them go? I'm not doing good. Get me out of here.
Well, too, it needs to be younger too. The staffs in the MLB need to be younger because I think like compared to like other sports like coaching wise and front office, they easily have to be the oldest people there, which means they're gonna have the oldest like mindsets and.
I mean that's not necessarily true because you can have somebody old in the dugout, but the guys you've got in the front office, they could be young and telling them this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do. Because I think that's a lot of what's going on right now.
Yeah. And is it true they're gonna try the automated ump?
Oh,
I hope they do that.
So do I.
No, sorry, I'm very much against that.
No, I really do think there should be automated because it's gonna that's gonna make it quicker in a good way, because you're just gonna get the right calls.
How many times is the I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish your point first.
Well, I know. I know what you were going to say there. Like how many times do teams get screwed over because of a bad call, or how many times do people argue about it, which spends even more time, arguing with an umpire.
But that makes it fun. I like to watch guys argue with umpires. Everybody else has human referees. It makes it fun. Tennis. Do we talk about tennis?
And in the NFL they have instant replay.
But I'm not.
And we still have issues with the NFL too because it's how barbaric they use a chain to determine the first down and what the refs saw. How is there not a microchip
I think the chain
ball?
Is almost a visual kind of thing. It's just to
But how is there not like a microchip in the ball just to say and like some type of like detect like when the chip passes. That way they just know, like, oh, hey, past the first down marker, we don't need to look at it. Or just another referee to watch the skies and say, hey, you missed this.
Yeah. The thing about the baseball, though, is when an umpire makes a bad call, say on a 3-2 count, and it forces he doesn't call the strike that was a strike. Okay, that all of a sudden you have a man on base. The pitcher's throwing more pitches, which is causing him to go deeper into the game unnecessarily. And if you want those games where, like you said, you want to see the pitcher go 9 innings, If he's throwing, you don't know how many pitches he's going to throw after that. Some of them don't even get out of the inning because of the one pitch.
Well, every pitch is a battle too. You know, he's like, oh, just one pitch. No, one pitch could change the entire game.
And it would take all that stigma of the umps going, well, he's a rookie. He doesn't deserve that call. A strike is a strike.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that?
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like all officiating organizations, they need to be put under like some kind of thing to show like unbiased, because how many of them show bias are like, with basketball where it's like, oh, it's LeBron. He's been in the league long enough. He doesn't have to get those calls, or he can get those calls. Like, no, the rules have to exist for these reasons.
But getting back to the umpire thing, how many times have you heard, the pitcher's throwing 6 straight balls? Well, he has to throw a guy on the plate now to get a call. No. If he throws a strike, it's a strike. Yeah. No matter how many balls or strikes he's thrown in a row.
And then also it can mess up things later because, how many times do you hear someone say, oh, well, that's a make-up call. It's like, no, it's like they should have done it right the first time. They got to get it right then. Yeah. And then also how I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have like one
You
more
mean
thing.
interrupt her again?
It's okay.
But anyways, also the fragile egos of umpires too, because like they'll be wrong, and then a player will simply just call them out. Hey, like you've been screwing me on this game. I've been doing things right, and then the umpire says, oh, you know what? You challenged my authority. You're out of the game. So that's another effect too, because then you're taking out talent from the game for something that the umpire did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've been in that exact position where, you don't get close calls and, you walk somebody. But I really just wouldn't have it any other way. I just like human umpires. I like the human element. I like to see people argue. I don't know. I think that's just part of the game. I don't think they should get rid of human umpires.
Well, they can keep them.
Yeah,
they would just have
will be reduced.
They would have just an earpiece.
Somebody in the minor leagues got tossed with a robo ump, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I think that was real.
I don't know how a robo ump could say that.
You're gone.
Did you shoot him?
You are gone. No, that's how you would say it. Yeah. You are gone.
Anyway. I think that debate's going to continue for a while. Yeah. All over baseball, not just here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this got really exciting at the end. But yeah, we all got really passionate about things. It was a really fun episode to give us, since we were off for a week. Glad to be back. Hope you all enjoyed. Any last words?
Good night.
Check out Steven's article. Good night.
Yes, and it's not Carr's fault. Good night.